Hey guys, today we're starting a new series to give you a behind the scenes look on how we run our blog. We're going to talk about photography, editing, workflow, business, and anything else you're interested in. Today we're going to focus on workflow and how we deal with the thousands of photos we take. Before we continue, just want to thank Drobo for sponsoring this video. We love taking photos and documenting our travels, but one of the most annoying things is dealing with the photos afterwards. Depending on the trip, we end up with gigs and thousands of photos. For example, our last trip to Jasper National Park, we ended up with 137 gigs of photos. And that was mostly just the photos, we're not even counting the video. Now luckily for me, Esther deals with all the photos. She shoots, she dumps, she culls, and edits. And today we're going to focus on those two middle things: dumping photos and culling photos. So when we talk about dumping, it's basically how we get the photos from the camera to our computer and how we deal with organizing that. Culling is the process of taking all those thousands of photos and picking out the ones we want to show on the blog and Instagram. So we shoot on SD cards, and whenever we're traveling or we're at home, we try to dump our photos daily. That way, if anything were to happen to the camera or the card gets corrupted, we still have that backup. It's a good practice, and speaking from experience, you should do it because we've lost our camera before and lost photos. It was a sad day. Now when we're on the road, we have a bunch of SD cards and we never format those cards. So that way we have two copies when we get home. But once we're back in our home, in our office, step one is dumping those photos and making sure they're backed up. Now up until a couple months ago, that process looked really different. So I'm going to talk about that process first, and then we're going to show you what we do now. Our before process. Step 1, create a new folder on the computer. Step 2, dump the photos into that new folder. Step 3, drop a copy of that folder into hard drive A. Step 4, drop another copy of that folder into hard drive B for another backup. Step 5, work from the folder on her computer to cull and edit the photos. Step 6 and 7, back up those edited photos onto hard drive A and hard drive B. And step 8, delete the folder on her computer so that she has space for more photos. Such a pain. Finally added the Drobo 5D3 to our family, and it changes the way Esther works. So now when we get back and we're ready to dump the photos, Step 1, create a folder on the Drobo. Step 2, dump the photos onto that folder. Step 3, cull and edit those photos directly from the Drobo. Now cutting just over half the steps may not seem like much, but when you take into account the transfer time for our old hard drives as opposed to the Drobo, it's made a huge difference. I still remember every evening she would wait for all those files to transfer, go take a shower, get ready for bed, come back and hope that they're done. The Drobo is much faster. I mean, check out these speeds when we were transferring everything over. And on top of that, it was super simple to set up. You don't have to know any technical stuff. You just pop the hard drives in and you can expand it when you need. Right now we have two 12 terabyte Seagate hard drives in there, and we plan on expanding it a little bit later this year. And you'll notice we don't have to do any of that backing up anymore. It does all of that for us so that we don't have to worry about having those redundant files. Now in terms of how we organize our folders, we've done different things over the years, but we found that for us, by destination works the best. Now in general we do it by continent and country, but if we have a lot of content from that specific area, we'll break it down even more. So in the US, for example, we'll have it by state, but some states we have so much stuff, we'll do it by city. And in some of the cities that we've lived in, we had to do it even by neighborhood. That just makes it easy for us to go back and look for those photos. And within those organized folders, we name them by date and a description of what that activity was. We used to organize them only by date, and it was so hard to find the photos that we needed. Okay, so the files are on the Drobo. It's doing its backup thing. Now what do we do when it comes time to culling the photos? Now for those of you guys who don't know, Esther used to be a wedding photographer. She did it for 8 years, and every wedding we'd walk away with thousands and thousands of photos. Way more than we would from a day of traveling. Now because of that, she's tried out a lot of different ways on how to look through the photos and pick out the ones she wants and that whole culling system. And this is what we found to be the best for us. She uses a program called Photo Mechanic. It was and still is used by photojournalists who have hundreds and thousands of photos to look through and have to turn them around really quickly. Now there's a lot of capabilities of the program with metadata and being able to label the photos. We don't use much of that, but we use it primarily to figure out what photos we want for the blog and for Instagram. Before that, she was just using Lightroom to look through all the photos, and I still remember how pissed she would get because of how slow it would load. The program itself is really easy to use. We have an older version, which we need to get the newer one, but we'll show you how it looks. So basically when she's ready to work on a blog post, she'll find the folder where the photos are and drop it into Photo Mechanic. She can then scroll through them really quickly. The photos load immediately. As she scrolls, she uses the keyboard to color the ones that she likes. You'll see the little highlight of green or yellow or whatever color she decides to use at the time. Now after looking through all the photos, She can then select the ones that she decided that she likes and either cull it down even more or just pick out the ones that she needs. From there, she then goes to Lightroom and or Photoshop to fully edit them. So there it is, how we dump photos and cull them. I hope this was helpful to you. I've linked below everything that we use so that you can check it out. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and also feel free to suggest anything else you want me to talk about. Thanks guys, and we'll see you later.